fantasy football season, thank God. I'm Buster Brown, and the show is Redemption Rehab. And if you tuned in today, it's for one reason. You want to start winning championships in fantasy football. And that starts on draft day with a solid draft. So let's take a look at draft strategies for position players, like running backs. Every position player is important, so let's hit the chalkboard and check out the facts. Running backs are first of 6 on the position player priority list. What does that mean? That means heading into a draft, your number one priority is to get a running back that can score points. Maybe more than one running back. You may want to consider taking 2 or 3 in the first 7 rounds. After that, it tails off quickly. So let's take a look at the position player priority list from 1 through 6 heading into a draft. When you head into a draft, the number one position that you're trying to secure is running back. The number 2 would be wide receiver. Tight ends are number 3. Quarterbacks are number 4, defenses are number 5, and kickers are number 6. That means when you go into a draft, running backs are the top priority. So let's take a look at waiver wire availability. Waiver wire availability once the season starts is less than 5%. What does that mean? That means that when you go to your waiver wire during the week to pick up a player, there will be few players available to be picked up. Very few. So to get a better judgment on running backs, let's go to
Fantasy Football Calculator.
Welcome to Fantasy Football Calculator. Behind me is an average draft position sheet of just running backs. There are no other position players on this sheet. When it comes to drafting a running back, I usually use a system that I do with most position players. It's called a tier system. With running backs, I have 4 tiers. Let's take a look at tier number 1. It is the first 4 running backs on this list. If you have a top 4 pick, you're probably going to take one of these 4 running backs, and you should. Those are my tier 1 running backs. If you don't have a top 4 or 5 pick and cannot get a tier 1 running back, then you're looking at my tier 2 running backs. Those are picks 5 through 13 and run the second half of the first round to the end of the second round. I normally take a running back in rounds 1 and 2, but if a really good wide receiver falls to me and I don't like any of the running backs that are in round 1 or 2, I will definitely take a wide receiver if I have to. Normally I come out of first 2 rounds with 2 running backs or a running back and a wide receiver. Tier 3 running backs usually run from picks 14 through 24, and they encompass all of round 3 and all of round 4. If you need a running back, these running backs are usually very good. The problem with them is they have some question marks next to their name or maybe haven't lived up to their potential. By the end of round 4, I like to have at least 2 running backs. So sometimes I have to take a running back in tier 3 in rounds 3 or 4. 4 running backs start at pick number 25 and run through pick number 36. This encompasses all of rounds 5 through 7. Normally, at this point of the draft, I like to have at least 3 running backs. I usually take a running back in between rounds 5 and 7. I'd like to have at least 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers, 1 quality tight end, all by the end of round 7, prior to drafting a top quarterback. This is my first strategy. Normally, it doesn't work out for me. So I usually have multiple strategies going in to a draft up to round 7. After round 7, in round 8 through 16, I try to draft more running backs, at least 3 or 4 as backups to the running backs I've already drafted or handcuffs to the running backs that are already on my team. So in summary, your top priority going into a draft is running back. So get them early and often, just in case your draft strategy falls apart. I'm Buster Brown, the show's Redemption Rehab. Good luck.